Very good morning to you. Just gone 11:30. This is Ref Watch. Plenty of huge talking points for Dermot to go through today. We also have Stephen and Sue with us. Very good morning to you, Dermot. This is an extended Ref Watch as well to make sure we cover all of the incidents from what was a very busy weekend. Only one place to start. I don't know what the right words to describe it. A monumental error, would that be close, at Tottenham, that saw a Luis Diaz goal incorrectly ruled out for offside. PGMOL, the referee's body, released a statement after the match saying a significant human error was made. The goal should have stood. Dermot, can you explain to us in here and, importantly, the people watching at home, how VAR got this so wrong?
I think lack of focus, lack of judgement by the VAR. Didn't check what the on-field decision was. Subsequently made a decision based on what he thought rather than what he was told. Allowed the game to restart. Once it restarted, the damage was done.
OK. So just to clarify and make sure that I don't assume anything, it was the wrong call.
Oh, 100%.
OK.
We all know that.
OK. I just wanted to make sure of that. Because Liverpool have released a response, and these are the key points from what they have said. And here we are. So in a statement, they have claimed that the controversy undermined the integrity of the sport. Dermot, what do you make of that statement?
I don't understand what that means, to be honest. Sorry. I seriously don't. It was a mistake. Referees make mistakes all the time. And you're saying it's 25 years' birthday yesterday at Sky. You can find loads of mine. You know, they were made honestly. But it was a mistake. It's a very, very bad mistake. There's no doubt about that. But it's a mistake. It's not done deliberate. OK, I've got to say that these are our lines that we're drawn on just to show that it was. These aren't the PGMOL lines that were drawn on. That's Stephen. Dermot says he doesn't understand what that statement means, but the idea of questioning the integrity here is quite some comment from Liverpool, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a big statement. I think, like you say, it is an error by a human. I don't think it's not as black and white as people make out it to be. Listen, don't get me wrong, it is wrong what's happened. I think my big thing with that incident where you're talking about there is why hasn't someone else in the VAR room overseen this? That's the big question I think people are asking, how it gets to this situation. OK,
so if we do the timeline here, Dermot, what we are led to believe is that as we saw from the pictures, this isn't what we're led to believe because we've seen it as fact, that the goal was ruled out on field for offside. It then goes to a VAR check. What we are led to believe is Darren England, who was the VAR official in there, misunderstood and thought the goal had been given. When he saw that it wasn't offside, all he responded with was check complete, thinking that the goal had been given. It was only after the restart that they realised it was offside. So this is the idea of human error being involved in here. But what Liverpool, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but by saying the integrity was undermined, it's the whole process of VAR that they are questioning, and that there is huge fallibilities in here. Would you agree with that on the evidence of what happened this weekend?
Right. Offside on-field decision. Without VAR, still would have been offside. VAR is there to check every goal. I didn't realise this was Stephen told me earlier this morning, I checked. I didn't realise that he thought it was a goal. He obviously, for some reason, felt a goal had been given on the field. He's then checked, seen it is onside and said check complete. But he has a colleague with him. He has another colleague who's an AVR, who's an assistant, a specialist in offside judgement, who, that's what people can't understand, is why he didn't intervene and say to Darren, well, look, I can see the assistant's flagged for offside. So there's two people there. There is people there to do that. So this escalates, doesn't it, from an error by Darren England, who's taken the big hit to he's got a colleague sat alongside him who should also have flagged that up. That's what he's there for, that's the process. And I would think in a situation like this that I was stunned on Saturday. It was the toughest day I've ever had at work on match days, because you're trying to explain to people what's happened, you're trying to explain the process, but you're trying to second guess what happened, because you have to bear in mind they're in a different location to what I am. I'm looking at the pictures, and that's what I can't process is one has made that error and the other has allowed it to happen.
OK, I'm not skipping over point 2, but I think what we're talking about here actually relates to point 3 a bit closer here, because in Liverpool's statement they go on to say that the PGMOL's labelling of the incident as significant human error is unacceptable.
Yeah.
Now, you've both said that it was human error. So, Sue, let's come to you. I mean, these are humans here, and the impact on their lives. They didn't turn up to that VAR booth and think, OK, let's make a mistake today, did they?
No.
So is the labelling of it as significant human error unacceptable to you? Because in the Premier League, the greatest league in the world, we expect very high standards. They have fallen short, but we're all human.
Yeah, and I think that's a frustrating thing that often on here we talk about offsides and we go, well, we can't argue with that because the offsides are normally correct because the lines are drawn. And whereas this is something completely different, isn't it? This is human error. This is, I agree with Dermot in fact of, OK, so one person gets it wrong, but then you've got an assistant in there. Because that's what I wanted to know, what the process was. So what happens when it goes from there to then it goes to the VAR? And I understand that process, but I can't understand how both have then got it wrong. But then how do you then put it right after that? That's the other thing. So, OK, we've got this decision wrong. They've told the referee check complete, but then suddenly they must think, oh, we've made a real error here. What happens then?
OK, so
Sorry,
that goes into the second point of unhappy play restarted so quickly with no subsequent intervention. However, that is covered in IFAB Rule 10, isn't it, Dermot? Which reads as this. And actually, once they realised the mistake had happened and the game had restarted, they were powerless under the laws of the game to do anything about it. Is that correct, Dermot?
Partly. That is correct, what you say. If I stop the game for whatever reason, I give Stephen a penalty, and then my assistant says, no, it's not a penalty because Sue didn't foul him, I can change my mind. I can change my mind up until I restart. When I restart play, that's it. It's decision over, you carry on. What I have, Stephen was very, very kind to me. You illustrated to me about this decision, how it came about. I had no knowledge of that before you told me. So since that, I've drilled down and spoken to people and found out what you told me is absolutely accurate. He did think it was a goal. That's where the fundamental error occurred. But I've been assured at no point ever did he then tell the referee that he'd made a mistake. So the referee did not know from minute 34 to half-time.
But that's wrong, isn't it?
It may be wrong, but he didn't tell him.
No, I know, but we're talking about human error again, and we're talking about the integrity of the game. Now, the integrity of the game is Liverpool have scored a legitimate goal. Now, this is where the rule book goes out the window. And I know everyone will go, oh, no, it shouldn't go out the window. It should, to keep the integrity of the game, where common sense comes into it. And you go, Simon, we've messed up. Not you. We have, because you've made Simon Hooper look a fool on TV and to the world who are watching football. We've made an error. You need to atone for this error. The way of doing that could simply be walk to the side of the pitch, blow the whistle, walk to the side of the pitch and say to the managers, both managers, come in, both captains, come in. I've made an error, or the VAR have made an error. This is what has happened. This would have took 2-3 minutes to do, but you get the right decision and you say to them, it's a goal for Liverpool. What my recommendation is to atone for this error is to do a bounce of the ball and allow Liverpool to score. And after the game, even at half-time, an announcement is put out by the PGMOL straight away. With social media these days, with the TV, that would have been round in 10 seconds, and everyone would have gone, amazing, right, we know what's happened, we know where we stand. Whereas now, they've made it look an absolute mess. And it really is a mess.
Yeah, I can't deny that, and that's a great solution. But the trouble is, the solution is not possible, because it's great in theory, but in the laws of the game, the referee is powerless to do that. He cannot do that. There's nowhere in the law, there's no caveat, there's nothing that says common sense says this, the weight of the world says this. There's nowhere in law that he can do that. So the minute he does that, he has then broken the laws of the game, and he has then undermined his own integrity and credibility, because the FA will charge him with failing to apply the laws correctly.
So what's the difference between that and the Bielsa one when he allowed Leeds to score?
Because Bielsa triggered that himself. That was nothing to do with the referee. Bielsa told his players to allow Aston Villa.
Yeah, but he was the one who pulled the referee across, wasn't he? And spoke to the referee.
But the referee can...
But however, OK, so for hypothetically speaking, say if Klopp says to Simon Hooper, you've got that completely wrong.
Well, it have to come from Postecoglou, I would think, if it's Bielsa with...
No, well, yeah, but I understand Klopp's point of view, but I think the response would have been, I'm not speaking to you. Whereas it can't be like that. When it's a legitimate goal, it's unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable that the game's being allowed to be played on. I mean, I've never seen anything like this, and it's almost been, well, it's a human error, it's accepted. It can't be accepted.
I get all that, Stephen, I get all that. You make so many great points, and so many points. I'm a football fan, remember, you've known me so...
Yeah, I know, I understand that.
And I know all about credibility, I know all about integrity, I know about everything about that. But if I was that referee that day, I am powerless to do that. I might want to do it.
But do you not think the integrity of the sport would have got more plaudits for doing that? I know you're talking about the laws, but the laws almost have to go out the window for that split second to go. You think it would have been better now, we're talking about this hypothetically, but if this had gone to Howard Webb after the game and Howard Webb gone, you've done that wrong, you've made a mess of that, or do you think he'd rather deal with what we're dealing with now? Do you think what would have been easier to deal with for Howard Webb and for everyone surrounding the game to get the decision correct on the pitch, even if it was not within the actual law of the game, or to let it roll out like we're rolling out now? I think Howard Webb would have gone, do you know what? You've actually took a bit of common sense into it. You'll get a slap on the wrist because it isn't the laws of the game. However, we've got the right outcome at the end of it, and we're going to learn from it. But we've got away with this one at this time, because you haven't got away with this.
No.
Because this is completely wrong.
I think the only thing that I can say at that I can say for the referees, and I say the referees collectively, because you've got to learn from it. Whatever happens to Miss Stephen, there's no way ever this can ever happen again. You know, I made mistakes, I get penalties, it weren't penalties, I didn't get penalties, it were, and I did it. I repeat that.
I get that as well. However,
this can't happen again.
But Dermot, now the integrity of the VAR has been thrown into doubt. There's no confidence whatsoever in VAR at the moment, none whatsoever, and it's been heightened by this incident at the weekend. However, if you had corrected it and got it correct, you'd have gone, well, at least they've done the right thing. Whereas they haven't done the right thing, and they've done it, and they've not protected themselves, but they've got it completely wrong. Whereas if you'd have made that decision, suddenly that confidence would have been built within 20 seconds, 30 seconds of the incident.
I'd just like to have known when they realised that they'd made a mistake, because would they not have had time then to say to the referee, look, we've made an error here? So before the restart, could they not have then said, actually, I've made a mistake, it was a goal?
But even if it's 10 seconds after the restart.
But it was.
But I mean, was there not time before?
Well, because they're saying there wasn't there?
But it was the retake that alerted them, because they would have expected a kick-off.
Yeah.
Oh, right, OK.
So they see an offside free kick, and that's what's triggered in his head.
Right.
Why is he kicked off from there rather than centre circle? And that's what triggered it. And that's where the damage was done.
OK, we've got another 2 points to go through from Liverpool's statement, Dermot. So let's go to the second from bottom. They want improvements from their statement, they say, to process to prevent repeat of situations. So what needs to happen? What improvements need to be in place? Because, as you were saying, there is a safeguard there. There's not only the VAR, there's the video assistant referee as well in there. So you should have that safeguard in place. So what improvements could be put in?
I think just to reaffirm what the process is, reaffirm what they've got to do, what their responsibilities are, and make sure that people take part in a decision. You know, that they're there to take part in decisions, they're there to understand and process it correctly, and drill down to everybody that this has got to happen. It's got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to completion. And it's no good thinking, well, we want to be quick, we want to get the game restarted. If it takes an extra 30 seconds, which this might have done, that 30 seconds might have stopped me having to stop till 12:15 today.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's our pleasure. The other thing, I guess, in this one, thrown into that one, is many Liverpool fans have pointed out what looks on the surface to be a similar incident, Brighton against Manchester United from 3 years ago. But actually, there was a significant difference in this game, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Just talk us through what happened and why this was different.
The Maupay handball, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just as the referee is coming to the conclusion of the game, Maupay punches the ball. The referee didn't see it, and the VAR said, when he blew the whistle, said, you can't ask the players to leave the field of play because I'm still checking an incident that occurred within that time. He checked it, it was handball, he gave a penalty, which people say is after time. Well, it wasn't, because the incident occurred within the time frame and the game can be extended for a penalty. So the players were told to stay on the field and the penalty was taken correctly.
So the difference was the game hadn't restarted.
Absolutely.
Naturally, this is the end of the game.
Yep.
But if it had restarted, that was OK. So thank you for clearing that one up. OK, the last one here, which is really fascinating. And they say they're exploring a range of options, giving clear need for escalation and resolution. OK, so what options are available here?
I don't know what options they'll be exploring. It hasn't said, has it? You know, that's what they've put. I have as much information as you, Rob. You know, and I'm not going to speculate.
He has got previous though, Howard Webb, hasn't he, with replaying a game out in America. So there was an incident in a game where the wrong decision was made. They admitted to the wrong decision and asked for the game to be replayed. Now, I'm not saying that will happen, but you think, well, if he's done it for one game, how does he then not do it for another game? And that'll be interesting if they were to bring that point up when he was out in America.
Yeah, that was different country, different competition. This is the Premier League. I don't know what their rules are regarding this, but as we say, it's speculation at the moment.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing is clear on that bottom one, Sue, is that Liverpool aren't, and perhaps understandably, it's not for me to speak for Liverpool and their fans, but you can see from that bottom one that they're not willing to just let this go now.
No, they're furious, and rightly so, because it could cost Liverpool a top 4 place. It could cost them if they're challenging for the title. So they're looking at this game and going, actually, this could cost us a lot of money. So they're rightly angry.